Welcome to CrimeCon UK's book club, partnered by the True Crime channel. I'm Nancy Baughen and I'm delighted and excited about tonight's session. I really am. We've got a top guest on this evening. He doesn't need any introduction. As you know, the incredible Colin Sutton is joining us. So if you're new to Instagram or you're catching up on YouTube, this time allows us for Lisa Howes, editor of Crime Monthly magazine, and Crime Monthly followers to join us along with Colin. So thank you for your patience. It's lovely to see so many of you joining this evening. Who's still buzzing about the experience we had in CrimeCon London? Let me know your thoughts. It's lovely to see you all. So I'm sure the lovely Lisa joined us. So let's get Lisa on. Where are you, Lisa? Where are you, Lisa? I had a blast at CrimeCon this year. It was amazing. And if you haven't yet secured your tickets for Manchester, be sure to do so. The lineup will be coming out soon, and we'll be getting together for a one-day event in Manchester for the very first time, September the 27th. So, Lisa, where are you, darling? I am looking for you. And I can't seem to get you on. I cannot seem to get Lisa, which is extremely frustrating. Extremely frustrating. Nice to see you all. Oh, hello, Cherry. Nice to see you. Nice to see so many people joining. I'll give you all a wave. Crime Monthly, you're unable to join me. Why, Lisa? Why? Hello, Revelation. All thanks to you that we've been reading this book. Lots to talk about tonight. I can't get Lisa, which is extremely frustrating. Hi, everyone. But have I got Colin? We might have to get you on, Colin, and come back to Lisa, if that's all right. Let's get Colin on. Hello, everybody. It's nice to see so many of you joining. I've got you, Colin, and I haven't got Lisa.
Hello.
I don't know where Lisa is. Well, it won't let me join. Let me try from my account. Okay, Lisa, you do that, and Colin and I will fill in the gaps. How are you, darling?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly.
Good. I couldn't find the buds, so I've got my headphones on. But
that's all right. I look good. You look good, Colin. Are you exhausted? Because you've been running around the country on tour. I had the pleasure of seeing you last week.
Yeah, I was in Lancaster last night, and I just got back home about 5:30 this afternoon, I think. But yeah, it's good.
I'm going to give you a little plug here. Guys, if you haven't seen Colin on tour, I went to see him in my local theatre last Tuesday. I was hanging on every single word. You were absolutely brilliant, Colin. And I didn't think I would learn any more about the two cases that we know so familiar from the press and from you sharing the stories at CrimeCon. But I came away with even more information about the Belfield case and the Delwood Grant case. And I won't spoil it. I want everyone to go and see you. But that was an extremely layered case. And I'm sure you've still got more you haven't shared.
Probably, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I really wanted on the tour to do stuff that people didn't know about, and it's in there in the books, but the whole thing is that that there's kind of a hierarchy really. You do the TV and you've got to be really sort of quick and it's not very long, and then I do the books and you can do a lot more sort of detail in that there, and the shows are somewhere in between, I suppose. It's more than TV, but less than the book. So yeah, it's going really well. I mean, it's just a real buzz. Yes, I've done loads and loads of driving, but there are always podcasts and there are always audio books, and as a slight sort of just tease, it looks like I'm going to be doing another tour in 2027.
Exciting. Watch this space then.
Yeah,
I look forward to that.
With something completely new and not about those cases at all, but stuff I'm sure people will like. Yeah.
Will enjoy. So whilst we wait for Lisa, I don't know if she can join us or not tonight, Colin. Before we delve into the book, you've been a regular feature at CrimeCon with me, haven't you, for such a long time? What keeps you coming back?
Oh, just the buzz, the atmosphere, the vibe. Just there's so many good people there, and you always come away learning something new. You always come away having a good time, and you always come away thinking, I can't wait to get back again. So, as long as you keep having me, I'll keep coming.
I will always have you. What has surprised you the most about the audience at CrimeCon over the years?
I think really I think it's changed. I think it's, do you know what? And it's the same with my shows. I think we're seeing more couples. I
Yeah.
think when we started, it was very much probably 85% plus probably female. And it's not like that now. You see lots and lots of people coming as couples. Um, and I don't know whether that's because the whole true crime thing is kind of, there's so much of it on telly now and people are into it. And I guess couples sit and watch telly together. And so people like myself and Vanessa and Jackie and just everybody who's always there, um, they're known by lots of people, and people want to come, and I guess the whole thing builds momentum, doesn't it? Because it's been going now for so long that people know what a good time it is and what good, it's not cheap, but it's great value for money for what you get, and you can't get it anywhere else. So yeah, it's I love the spread of the different sort of people, that for the age groups, the outlooks, the nationalities, the accents you hear. It's just a great place to be. I love it.
Well, you'll always be there with me, Colin. And you did a session in London last month. It is last month now, isn't it? With one of the cases that features chapter 4 in the book that we've just read. So
Yeah.
Ray and Vi Donovan were with us talking about the death of their son Christopher. And boy, what a empowering, incredible super pair they are in terms of turning something dreadful around. They were a real inspiration, Colin, and it was thanks to Colin, guys, that we had Ray and Vi there, because you introduced us to them, didn't you?
Yeah, to be honest, Nancy, I thought, why the hell haven't I thought of that before? And it was last year we were just talking, saying, is there anybody we can bring? And their story is just amazing. I've always said that there's no right or wrong way to react to when one of your loved ones gets murdered, and my job always was to try and help people deal with it or live through it the way that they wanted to, facilitate that. But sometimes, and Ray and Vi, just the way that they reacted and what they did and the good that they've done, they've saved lives in what they've
Mm.
done. And they're such ordinary, lovely people. And when they're speaking from the heart, and that they've really, it's really captured them, and they've dedicated what was left of their lives to doing something in Christopher's name that did good. And it's just the most remarkable way to respond to having your son murdered, isn't it?
Well, I've realised as I was listening to your book, Colin, that there's probably about another 12 sessions within this book that I'd like to explore with you now. So that's the content sorted out for the next one, I'm sure. I'm
Yeah.
like, you didn't tell me about that one, but you also didn't tell me about that one, and you didn't tell me about that one. And I tell you what really surprised me was, I don't want to spoil the book for anyone that hasn't read it, but the fire. I was just, how did I not know about that case?
Oh, the cinema one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, and it's
How
just
did I not know about that case?
I know, and but we make I make the point there. We made the point in the program that if that were to happen today, it would be a huge, huge thing. But 30 years ago, the fact that and I won't spoil it too much, but that
Yeah.
11 gay men die and all murdered at the same time. Ah, it'd be amazing. It would just be huge, huge news, wouldn't it? And
Mm.
um, it was because of the time. It was really difficult to deal with because we never named any of the victims because things were so different in the early 1990s that the danger was that if we named the victims publicly, they might not have been out. Their families might not have known that they were gay. And that was, they were the different times that we were in then. And we were much less kind of aware of sensitivities and things, although we were trying to be, but it's a different sensitivity that we had to be aware of. And that was kind of outing people that didn't want outing after they'd died.
Yeah.
Um, Whereas now, I think we've got this, obviously, thankfully, the acceptance of people's sexuality is so much more universal, and yet the issue is different. And when we'd be saying, well, hang on, you've got people here in a sort of a vulnerable minority to some degree that have all been murdered, and how do we approach that? What do we do about that? So yeah, it was very different times, and it's just the most remarkable case, and yet nobody knows about it.
No.
Nobody knows about it. And the heroism as well, the heroism of not only some of the victims that survived, but the guy with the furniture van. I won't say any more so as not to spoil it, but the things that people did to try and help in that. And it's just a remarkable story. And yet, if I say to people, "Oh yeah, I was deputy SO in a murder where 11 people were killed at once," they think, was it terrorism? Well, no. Well, when did that happen? Why don't we know about it? And it's
Yeah, it
incredible.
was mind blowing. It really was. Right,
Mm.
I'm just going to attempt to get Lisa on so the Crime Monthly followers can join. So let's see if this works. I will have one last attempt. While I do this, guys, tonight isn't about me talking to Colin because trust me, him and I have had many a chat for very long times over many a wine over the years. I've had the privilege to become close to Colin and consider him a friend. Tonight is about
Absolutely.
you guys asking your questions. So go for it. Let's ask Colin lots of questions. But I want to get Lisa on and I want to recap the book, Colin, because I've read two of your books already and now this is the third I've read and I really, really thoroughly enjoyed it. And I thought it was a very interesting account. So let me get Lisa in and let's see if we can get her on. Lisa, this will be my final attempt to get you. Technology always lets us down, doesn't it, Colin? But
Yeah,
we'll make do. We'll
she's
make
up.
do.
She's up in Lincolnshire. They've not had electricity long.
No, she's she's left London, hasn't she? She's in a new place. No, I don't think she's with us. I don't think she's with us. So let's kick this off. So, Colin,
Mm.
you have wrote your third book, the Real Manhunter Casebook. You've done it with Revelation, the production company behind the program. Why don't you start off with why you did it and how this all came about, and why you felt it was important?
Well, I think we did it because it, it's it was an opportunity to go to give more detail and more sort of layers and more information about the stuff that's there. I'm really proud of what we've achieved over 4 seasons of the Real Manhunter and the quality of the production and what we do and how we present it. But there are limitations. You get 43 minutes or thereabouts for an hour program, and so you can't give the background. And it was also an opportunity to a degree to make a book that was very slightly less, I won't say academic's the wrong word, but very slightly less kind of um, focused on the crime and the sort of, I don't know, the sort of stuff that was going on in the investigation. Although there's a lot of that there, but it was also an opportunity to kind of slot it into where it was in my life as well, and things that were going on with me, and those little bits of that sort of connect up the cases. Um, I quite like doing because it's things that people often ask me about how my kind of career progressed and how I got to do what I was doing, and it was an opportunity to put that in there as well. So when you put those together, I was really pleased with how it turned out. But I think that the tone of it is slightly different to the first two books. The first two books were almost a bit kind of academic and a bit sort of formal, shall we say,
Yeah.
and this one's a little less formal because the bulk of what I write about the cases themselves and the investigations is really based on what we were able to do in the TV program, but just expanding that. So it was a really interesting kind of thing to do because it sort of starts off with virtually the transcripts of what I said and what people said in the program. So then you sort of juggle that around and write the bits in between. Uh, I'm really pleased the way it came out. As I say, I think it's something that's different, and those people who have watched the series will kind of appreciate, I think, the additional detail in there, and it's quite a good, you know, compa-
Accompaniment.
companion. I was going to say, to that, and I've spoken to people. I've signed quite a lot of copies of it. People bringing it along to my shows, and more than one have said, actually, what it's done is it's made me go and watch them again because they're all still on Sky catch up or whatever you call it, and it's good to watch the program again with the knowledge of having read the chapter about that murder. So, hopefully they sort of dovetail together quite nicely.
Yeah, I think they do, and I also think you're right in terms of its presentation and listen or read. I think you get a real sense of you in that as well, Colin. I think you come across in it. You get a sense of your purpose, but and I have to say, you're probably one of the most humblest men I've ever met in terms of your want to recognise the people around you that contributed to each and every one of the cases that you worked on. You talk so much fond love for Joe
Mm,
Grunt, for example, and the team around you. And
mm.
I think it makes it for a very, very lovely listen, because you actually, as a listener or a reader, you really do get an understanding of it's got to be a team, it's got to be everyone, and you really value your team, didn't you?
Oh, good. Yeah. I mean, that was what my whole job was about, was actually getting the best out of them. That was my job. Well, my job wasn't actually solving murders on my own. That's not how it
Mm,
happens. And to a degree, I owe them that because the whole reason that I'm sitting here talking to you now, the whole reason that I'm not still delivering flowers for three shops in Surrey, is that I wanted to write the story of that team's investigation of Levi Belfield. That's where this all started. I wanted to write that down because I knew that if I didn't, 20 years on, like we are now, from when that happened, nobody would remember it. They'd
mm.
remember him, but they wouldn't remember those people who put their heart and soul for 4 years into it to make sure that he got convicted. And I just wanted to record that. And that was the whole, maybe it's karma, maybe, that's a nice thing. That's a good thing for me to do. And so I've been paid back with all this amazing stuff that's happened to me, and I've ended up watching you doing a Bucking Bronco machine in Nashville as a result of
This isn't a spoiler of what Nancy's really like when she's not
it.
when she's not working. No one asked Colin for the pictures, please.
No.
Yeah, get me in trouble. So why? So, oh, sorry, Colin, you've really thrown me now. Now I'm having a panic. You know that, don't you? Now I'm having a panic. Why? How? So you must have had so many more cases. So what? How did you choose? I mean, obviously for the program and then the book that accompanied it. So the book features the cases that are featured on the program. So how do you and Revelation decide what cases feature on the program to start off with? Because you must have so many more.
Yeah, I do, but to be honest, and this is going to sound really brutal of me, an awful lot of the cases that we dealt with are not that interesting. To be honest, there's not a lot of murders. Most murders aren't planned. Most people who commit a murder don't think about how they're likely to get caught, and so therefore, actually, we turn up and we can solve them pretty quickly. And when that happens, and there's no great investigative breakthrough or great piece of work or whatever, um, they don't make for great television, to be absolutely honest. Um, and so those kind of 11 or whatever it is cases, plus obviously Levi and Delroy Grant, which aren't in this book because there are separate books of them, they they represent the ones that I felt were worthy of commemoration, worthy of people um, looking at how they happen. And some of them have got a sad story. All murders are sad, but some of them are particularly sad or particularly upsetting about the way that they happened and are such a tragic sort of waste of life. Some of them show great pieces of investigation and work by members of my team. Some of them show amazing reactions of the family of the victim, like the Donovans, like Claire Bernal's mum, Tricia, and that sort of thing. So they've all got something about them which I think kind of pushes them to the fore, whereby they are noteworthy and they're remarkable in some way or another. So they're the ones that are remarkable. But yeah, there was, you know, I tried to work out the other day how many actual scenes of murders I went to, because don't forget that there's lots that I went to when we were on call and we'd do the first response, but we'd hand it over to another team to investigate, and it's well over 100, you know, and I can't remember all of them. I wish I'd taken better notes of them, but um, so these represent the ones where I think there's a story that's worth telling, in the sense that there's something about them that people will find interesting as to the circumstances or the way they were investigated. And that's not to say that all the others weren't worthy of our best attention, and they got it. And don't forget, however many investigations I led, we only ever lost one at court. We did a good job on virtually all of them, but a lot of those good jobs aren't especially interesting to people who weren't involved in it, I guess.
Mm. I just want to circle back though to something you just said, Colin, that just reminded me of the book. You said you don't feature Belfield and Delroy Grant in the book, and you don't in terms of chapters. But what you do that really makes the reader realise the workload and what was going on. When you go through the cases, you're like, well, at that time we were preparing for court, or at that time we
Yeah.
were also doing this. So actually, you're thinking, gosh, you're doing this and you're doing
Mm.
that. And that visual you showed in your tour the other day, that picture I've seen before, and it just, I remember sitting there with my friend Sarah, and she was just like horrified at how big that file was. You had all that going on whilst you were doing other cases, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the only kind of concession that we got was the fact that for the first, we had a 9 week cycle. Then we were on call once every 9 weeks at the start, and they took us out for one cycle, so somebody else covered it for that. So we weren't even on call when it started. So we got about a 12 or 13 week kind of head start on Belfield, and after that we were expected to do whatever else we were doing. Um, and so many of those cases, yeah, took place in the context of still preparing for court, or still investigating. You know, we investigated the Belfield case for 4 years nearly, so we were still doing all that work in the background. And you just, yeah, people say men can't multitask, but I can't manage it, I think.
I mean, obviously, there's a lot in there, and I don't want to unpack each case one by one because I want people that haven't read. I'd be really interested in the comments, guys. Let me know if you have read it or you haven't read it yet. But whatever you're doing, if you haven't, you must. But you obviously look inside to a multitude of different cases. Each chapter is a different case, effectively. What do you hope the readers of the book take away from learning about the details behind all of those cases, Colin? What do you want them to go away feeling and learning?
Right. One, what an amazingly talented, resilient, and dedicated bunch of people I had the honour of leading in that team. That's the main motivation for it. Very close behind that is the fact that, you know, we know that the police get a kicking all the time these days, sometimes rightly, sometimes wrongly, and there are all sorts of reasons for that. But actually, do you know what we do? They do now. I'm not one of them anymore. Do are capable of doing amazing work, and each one of those investigations, in one way or another, highlights and showcases that amazing work. And I still have enough investment in the fact that I was a police officer, the fact that, you know, I'll always be a police officer first and
Yeah,
foremost, that I want to make sure people understand that, and understand that for, you know, every Wayne Cousins or every David Carrick, there's thousands of people like me and Joe Brunt and the rest of that team.
yeah.
That's really important to me.
Yeah, someone's just asked in the comments, you've missed the beginning. Which book is it, please? It's Colin Sutton's third book. You must read it. It's called The Real Manhunter Casebook, and you can listen to it in Audible and you'll get the lovely Colin in your ears, or you can read it. I suggest the first because then you
Yeah.
get that's hard work though, isn't it, Colin, doing an audio book?
Oh yeah, it was. I mean, I've always said that, you know, I've got a face for radio and a voice for mime. I think I sound like Ken Livingstone with a cold, but there was some pressure. Lots of people said about my first two books that I should have done it. I mean, there was a wonderful actor called Peter Noble who did the voice for it. He did a great job of it. But so I said, yeah, okay, I'll have a go at it. And it took much more time. And what's really funny, the chair upon which I'm sitting now squeaks, so I had to try and do it sitting still. And I submitted it all up to Revelation when I'd done it, and it took a long time. And they said, "Yeah, there's a few things you need to work out here. One is you've got a clock that chimes, haven't you?" And yeah, I've got literally from where I'm sitting now through a wall, but about 3 feet away from me is a grandfather clock, and that used to chime on the house, and that came onto it. And then the dogs would go mad because the Amazon man was delivering something, and I'd get dog barking in the background. So there's a bit, yeah, it's a bit hit and miss like that. But yeah,
Do you know
I
what,
suppose,
Colin? I listened. It's. I feel like it just feels it's you telling your story in your own words, and actually, it adds to the authenticity of it. And I think it's cool. It's
yeah,
not a distraction. You're hanging on every word, so
I,
I think it's
I
you.
Yeah, I mean, I'd listened to a few audiobooks where people with, you know, regional accents, London accents, Cockney accents, or whatever, that weren't particularly great speakers had done it, and I agree with you. I've listened to them. I mean, I've been driving all over the place during this tour, and audiobooks and the same podcasts are my staple. And yeah, I thought, yeah, okay, I'll do it because I don't think it's as naff as I thought it might do. I always had this kind of fear of being like those American car sales adverts, where the bloke comes out and says, "Hi," and I didn't want to be like that doing it and sort of sound like it was homespun and homemade. But yeah, apparently people said, "Oh, we've really enjoyed you doing it." So good. I'm
Yeah.
glad I did it now. Yeah.
It's graft though, isn't it? Did you do it all in one take?
No, did I hell? I mean, I just did it sitting here where I am now, in Audacity, and I've got a half decent microphone that I used for it, and it took, I don't know, about 4 or 5 days, I suppose, to do. But yeah, it's worth it, and yeah, hopefully people listen to it.
Um, Someone's just said, I have it playing in my car. Great book, and it feels so much more authentic listening to you tell
Yeah,
your story.
yeah, I guess that's the case, and because it was, in many ways, it was essentially a personal book. It was more personal than the first two because it had those things in that this is what was going on in my life, and this are the problems I was having with, my marriage or my kids or whatever. That it was a bit more personal. So to have somebody doing it themselves like that, I guess, does make it that way. So yeah, I'm looking back at it now, I'm really glad we did do it that way. Yeah.
That's just reminded me. When I didn't realise you'd been up north in Yorkshire, so you're up there for a bit. Was it Yorkshire? You're up somewhere near
Yeah.
Leeds, up the north,
Up north.
and then you
I up
came,
in
and then you came down, and you just say in your book that it would have taken a completely different. I mean, we wouldn't be talking to each other now, would we?
No, I loved. I went up to West Yorkshire on promotion to DCI in 1996. I spent 4 years up there. It was a fantastic place to work, and I worked on a division in Bradford, and I was then head of force intelligence up there, which was a terrific job. It really was. And had I not got divorced, I'm sure I'd have stayed up there. I liked living there. I liked the people, and the work was very interesting because it was you know, you've got Leeds and you've got Bradford, but you've also got Calder Valley and places out towards, Happy Valley, like what's the name on the telly, yeah, you know what I mean. And so a lot of different sort of policing problems and stuff going on, and it was really good. And yeah, I'd have stayed there, but I'd never have done the things I've done now, and wouldn't be sitting here. Yeah,
Um, So of course, Stuart, you're supporting the Yorkshireman. Of course you are. British Murders is supporting
yeah,
that. Rachel's
yeah.
just said, having listened to you speak at CrimeCon and how you supported survivors like Vi and Ray, you are definitely doing a great job of representing the best side of the police. She can't wait to read it. And Beverly, every book you've recommended on here has been amazing. Well, we try and pick the good ones for you, and it helps with a good author and a good guest speaker. So we'll continue. Guys, I haven't got Lisa Howes tonight. She can't connect and she's not here. And as you know, I normally read the comments. She normally fills in the questions. Luckily, we've got Colin Sutton who does like a chat. So we're good. But can you all please pin in the comments your questions and give me a hand, and let's ask this lovely man some questions, shall we? Book or otherwise, he's got lots of questions to ask. In the answer, sorry. Um, do you? Well, come on, I've got some other questions that got sent, so let me just read you. Do you think there is another book in you? You talked about another tour. Do you think there's another book in you?
I'm sure there is. Yeah, I'm sure there is. It's actually, there's probably two actually. I've said this before, and it's been going on for so long now. I've actually got a fiction book that I want to try and finish at one point, but it's just finding the time around stuff. But I've got notionally a year off now because if I do another tour for entertainers in 2027, which it looks like I can do if I choose to, and I
Mm.
probably will, then next year I don't know what I'm doing. There's nothing really lined up apart from there's a podcast that I'm hoping to get involved in. We haven't done the pilot yet. I was talking to Chris about it, to CrimeCon actually, called
Hmm.
Cops and Robbers, which basically is me and a reformed armed robber talking about crime, which we've had a go at it. I think it'll work. It'll be really good. So I might be doing that, but otherwise I might have some more time this year. So I think it's going to have to be some writing this year, and
Mm.
there is another non-fiction book that I want to write, and I've started, and there's also I'm halfway through this fiction book, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm any good at fiction, really. But
I'm
we'll see.
I'm sure you had a conversation with me that said I don't think I've got another book in me, and you've just told me you're going to write two.
Yeah. Okay. Um, one of them, I mean, I'm technically still under a contractual obligation to write another non-fiction one, uh, and I've started it, so I can finish that off now. I know what I've got to write to finish it off, but I really want to. I just want to have a go at doing this fiction, and it may be that I try and submit it, and people say no, that's a piece of crap, and okay, that's fine, if it is, but I want to have a go. I want to try it because I never thought I'd be writing non-fiction, so I might as well try that as well. Um, so yeah, so yeah, I'll find some time somewhere to do it, I think, and try and do that next year. Uh, yeah. Um,
Maybe relax after the tour. Maybe relax after the tour.
no,
Can't do it. You can't stop, can you?
I'm not. Yeah, I hated lockdown because all I could do was write. And I like, I play my golf, I walk my dogs, do my dog shows. Um, you slow
You
down.
don't do your dog shows. You win at dog shows.
I
That's
don't.
an
The dogs,
inside track.
the
The
dogs
dogs
do.
win.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think if you slow down too much, you stop. That's
Yes.
that's the way I look at it. And I've always been like that. When I was leading the murder team and doing all this, I was selling minis to Mexico, and I was doing discoing and discos and DJing things like that. I've always had lots of things going on, and while I still can, I still do it. You know.
Oh, you're still able. Well, I've got
Mm.
some questions I'd like to read that people have pinged over. Colin has so much energy. Yes, he has. And if you have the pleasure of
Sometimes.
going out with him for a night out, you'll realise how much energy he's got, and you haven't. Let me tell you. Um, Millie has said, "Was there ever a case you wish you and your task force had been involved in?"
Yeah, I mean there is, and funny enough, I got asked this last night in Lancaster as well, and I'll give the same answer. Okay, yes, there is. It would never happen. I'm glad in some ways it didn't happen, and it involves Portugal,
Hmm.
and that as far as I go, because otherwise my inbox just fills up with what I call green crayon emails,
Yeah.
because that case has so many polarized views on it. But I'd love to have got, but it's the greatest mystery of our time, isn't it? So I'd like to have got some of that.
Mhm.
And I'm actually confident that lot that I used to work with would have got to the bottom of it as well. But there we go.
So that lot you what? Sorry.
That lot I worked with would have got to the bottom of it. If they couldn't do it, nobody could. That's what I say.
Julie Emery said, "Have you got an idea on who you might get?" I presume she means gets to CrimeCon London, October 26th. Is that a question for Colin rather than me? I think so. Colin, have you got an idea of what you can curate for us in London next year? Have you started thinking about it?
I have just this week found out about somebody who used offender profiling to solve a series of rapes that
Oh,
I never knew existed. And he's a very good speaker, and he said he'd be willing to come along and talk about it. But I was going to
it's
talk. I was going to talk to you about that because
look,
we all
I'm learning about it live with you lot, so this is
exactly,
great.
exactly. I've not had a chance to talk to you, but so yes, I'm still thinking about what we might do at CrimeCon next year, what I might do, and what other people might do. Having had the success of suggesting Ray and Vian, I think everyone, they went down so well with everyone, and rightly so. They were amazing.
Mm.
Um, I think this could be really interesting because offender profiling is something that many police officers, myself included, are a little bit skeptical about. So actually, to find a story where it worked, I think would be a nice thing to talk about, and people would
Mm.
be interested in that because they are. But we'll talk about it.
We'll
But yeah,
talk. We'll talk. So, Julie, it's a bit early. Can you give me and Colin a minute? We only finished CrimeCon a couple of weeks ago, and I've got Manchester to organise. So,
oh
as
yeah,
much as I like Colin working as hard as we want him to, we need to give him a minute and give me a minute. But we will work on, as we always do, a programme that delivers. One of the things Colin and I spoke about probably about 18 months ago. Once Colin had come in the first year, and you'd done Levi Belfield in a deep dive, and we did Delroy Grant the following year. We were like, Colin, we want you every year, always here. We need to make sure we keep the conversation fresh for the community. And your reaction was, no problem, Nance. And I said, wonderful. And then this is what we've been doing. And can I say, for me, I think it's getting better. I think it's getting, your content is getting, because you're bringing us new things, you're bringing us new stories. And I think Ray and Vi was was testament to that. Actually, I think it was a very incredible session, and I'm in awe of them. And I'm so, you're
Mm.
right. Why did you not introduce me to them before?
Because do you know what? I think there's a danger that I become a little bit blasé about it because that was my world. That was what we did.
Mm.
It's taken a little time to look back and think, bloody hell, that was amazing. But at the time, it's just all going on, and you've got this, oh God, yeah, they're pretty amazing. Right, what's the next case? And you don't actually have that time to pause and think, actually, do you know the way those people were, what they've done? It's just incredible, and people need to know about it. And it took a little while for me to realise that. I think, yeah, truthful.
Um, Kay Wallace has asked, "What's Colin's favourite real crime program or series?"
Uh,
I'm guessing
so
apart from the ones that you feature in,
yeah,
darling.
obviously, I I loved silly things like Ashes to Ashes, Life on Mars. I loved those. I used to love the Sweeney. I love is it Unforgotten? The thing with Sanjeev Bhaskar and the rucksack and Nicola Walker. She was in it, but she got killed off, didn't she? They've had about 4 seasons of it, and it's
No.
really no. You don't know it?
Fiction,
Yeah,
drama.
yeah.
It's not true crime. I struggle with
I didn't hear that
dramas.
bit. I didn't hear that bit. I was meant to be doing true crime, Mama. Oh God.
No. The
Oh
question
right.
was, I'm saying I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh right.
So
Oh, I see. Yeah. 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 They were. Yeah. Unforgotten is brilliant. I mean, it was a travesty. It only got 3 or 4 million viewers per series. Certainly the first few seasons. It was fantastic. Um, to be honest, I don't watch an awful lot of true crime. I do watch the occasional thing on Netflix, but it it's it's kind of something I have to watch alone because my wife doesn't really like true
mm,
crime programs and documentaries. We tend to watch fiction, and so most sort of cop fiction we'll watch, but I have to sort of sit here on my own and watch true crime, so I don't do it so often.
yeah. Yeah, and also after the career you've had, I'm sure you can have something a little bit lighter, maybe something a bit softer, maybe if you want to enjoy your telly.
No, just I watch the news and I watch sort of box sets and that's about it really. And Tottenham, obviously, but that's not much fun to watch.
Of course. Revelation have just put a comment in the comments, guys, that says, for those of you asking, the book is currently only available on Amazon, but we're looking at wider distribution right now. So, Hooked on
Yeah.
True Crime have just asked you, did your cases and submersion in crime world affect how you raised your family?
Uh, I guess to a degree. I mean, I guess there's always the thing. There's a strange sort of paradox that police officers have probably got more fear of crime than most people because you know what goes on and what can happen. Certainly, when my daughter was about 16, when the Belfield thing was going on, and I was picking her up from teenage discos and friends' houses, and you kind of think, I'm really glad I'm here. And once we'd arrested him, looking at all these teenagers coming out of a disco in Kingston, thinking, you don't realise how much safer you were than 2 weeks ago. There was that aspect of it.
Hmm.
In terms of their sort of personal um, morality and upbringing, I think with my daughter, it was never an issue because she was so easy and never any problem. My son, not so much when he was a teenager, he was a bit difficult, but yeah, he understood that two things I asked: work hard and obey rules. They were the two sort of main rules that he had to obey, and he did most of the time. And he's
It's now
now
in now he's taken up the career, hasn't he? He's followed in your footsteps.
he has, yeah, he's now a sergeant in the Met, and he's got about 11 years service coming up, and he's loving it and enjoying it and doing a good job as well. I know that. So yeah, I'm really proud of that.
What struck me in the book actually, Colin, is when you say you had to be busy at work because when you were home you were a lot happier, and if you were bored at work or you weren't being pushed at work, when you were home you were a bit, well, you don't say grumpy, but I'm guessing you were grumpy.
Oh, I was more than grumpy. I was yeah, unbearable probably. Yeah, I mean it was, and it's really really sad, because the last 10 months of my police service, I was not allowed to do anything other than help get the Night Stalker case ready for court, and there was nothing for me to do. and I was literally driving 40 odd miles around the M25 to Lewisham to sit there for 8 hours and drive home again most days. And I kind of made the point and said, look, I need something to do. Let me do some more work. And they said, no, you've got to stay there to go till it goes to court. And I said, well, you do realise I can retire before this will go to court, and I will do if I've. And fell on deaf ears. So I got to my time. I thought, well, sod it, I'll go and do something else. Go and deliver some flowers.
That's
But
funny. They go, you deliver flowers, knocking on people's doors, and they're happy to see you when you're doing
yeah,
it.
yeah,
But then
it's
before you
true.
know it, you're up someone's ladder fixing some old dearie's
Yeah,
golf
light
ladder or
bulb.
whatever.
I know, I know. The other great story from telling that I don't tell at the show about delivering the flowers was there's a prison in Surrey called Send, HMP Send, and
Mm.
I had to take this what I now know is called a hand tied bunch. So you get like a big plastic bag and it's tied up and you've got flowers in it and water in the bag. And I took that and this warder came out and she said. I said, yeah, I've got some flowers delivery, and it's for an inmate. And the first thing she did was she produced a knife from her pocket and slashed it so all the water ran out. And I said, well, why'd you do that? She said, could be drugs or booze in there. I said, oh, yeah, okay, fair enough. There you go. She didn't know who I was, what I'd done or anything like that. But it was just funny that she just started attacking this bunch of flowers with a knife.
Blimey. David Maeve has said, back to this, in several cases you write about success depending on, oh, good question, Dave. In several cases you write about success dependent not only on evidence but instinct. Can you recall a moment where trusting your gut contradicted the data?
Yeah, I mean, there is one. It goes back to the Belfield case, and if those who know about that case remember the handshake, the fact that Amelie's phone switched off at Walton on Thames, and we knew that's probably where the murderer had gone, and they actually made a mistake. They actually gave us the wrong segment of the mast. So masts have mostly got three sort of 120-degree segments for phone
Mm.
masts, and they gave us the wrong one. And the bit of water that it covered was all sort of built up. And we're searching there. And when I went down there and looked at it on the ground, I said, no, if you're chucking something away, chucking it in the river, you're going down to the bridge and the river and throwing it in there. And it was on the wrong sector. So I said, no, that's where we're searching. And they, thought I'd gone quite mad. We put the divers in there. And the second dive they did, they found Amelie's stuff, didn't they, at the bottom of the Thames. And
Mm.
when we checked it, the telephone unit had made a mistake in the segment letter. They had lettered A, B, to C. They'd said A, and they should have said C. And where I'd gone by instinct, thinking that's where it's going to happen,
Yeah.
that was actually where it did happen. And yet it was contradicting the sort of hard data that we were getting from the phone company, but that was a mistake. So it can be like that, it's. I always say that so much of detective work is understanding people. It's putting yourself in their position and say, okay, what would they do next?
Mm.
And so that's kind of an instinct, isn't it? You say, okay, what would somebody have done? Well, if I'm throwing the phone away, I don't throw it away in a housing estate. I throw it in the river. And so River Thames here, you do it,
You've got quite a lot. I'm sorry, guys. I've got a question for Colin. You've got quite a lot of strong opinions on DNA, haven't you, and forensic evidence, and what what the jury's expecting now, what the representatives in court are expecting, what actually everyone's now expecting, and actually that reliance on that. Now it's been around for 30 years. That sort of, I don't want to say old school police work, but that
Yeah,
element's gone a little bit, has it? And I know you've got quite strong views on that, haven't you?
I do. And it's something that I'm going to explore with the next tour I do, whether it be it next year or the year after. Yeah, I mean, I just worry that if you rely too much on just DNA and you're asked and encouraged to rely on it by the CPS and by lawyers and by courts, then you start to lose the ability to do the things when you haven't got DNA.
Mm.
Yeah, it's like the example I give is if you all of a sudden all cars or so many more cars are now automatic than they used to be, and we'll go to the stage where you're in America where most people can drive a car, only drive an automatic, can't remember how to drive a manual car. And I'm just worried that that's what we're doing with DNA. We're going to get to the stage where officers have only known a world where there's DNA and where it's the be all and end all of everything. And if they haven't got it and they need to go back to actually talk to people and find circumstantial evidence and deduce things and put things together and work out what happened, that those skills won't be as well honed. It's not because they're bad people or they're not bright enough. It's just they've not had the experience and the the practice in doing that and understanding how to do that. And virtually everybody, it's DNA went mainstream 29 years ago now. It came out before then, but it was mainstream about 96. Most police careers are 30 years or fewer years,
They've
So,
only ever known a world with it, haven't they?
yeah, virtually everyone's only ever known a world with DNA. And I sort of think, well, what was it like for the people before me that didn't have fingerprints? You'd have to go a long way back, even before me, to that, but back into the 19th century. But it's that kind of thing, isn't it? We relied on that so much when I first started. We didn't have DNA. We relied on fingerprints. Then DNA came along. But what about the things that went before and all the other? That's all I'm saying. It's not that it's not that DNA is a bad thing. Of course it's not. It's a good thing and it's helped us. But yeah, I've got the
When
plan.
the face is solely pinning on that, then
Yeah,
where's the other element?
and it can have consequences where things go horribly wrong. And I've got some examples of that. And I say that's whether I do it next year or the year after, that's what's going to be a half of the new tour, is looking about how can that go wrong and how can that affect things and how can we avoid making mistakes that have already been made in the last 30 years since we've had DNA.
Oh, interesting.
Mm.
Another couple of questions here from Jeanette. Would you ever consider making a cold case series?
Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, I really like looking at cold cases. I liked doing it when I was serving, and I'd like to now. The difficulty is that with all things at the moment, getting broadcasters to commission stuff, because they're suffered as much as
Mm.
anybody with in terms of uh, finances and cost of living crisis and things like that. And if you're an optimist and think things are going to get better over the next 2, 3, 4 years, then maybe things will do. But I'm not so optimistic that they will. And when you've got people who are struggling to feed themselves and heat themselves, then you can understand when they don't renew their subscription to Sky or to Netflix or to Amazon or whatever. And so that has a knock on, and has a knock on with advertising revenue for TV broadcasters. So that's why we only had 6 episodes in the last series of the Real Manhunter, whereas normally we do 10,
Yeah.
because they couldn't afford it, bottom line. And so it's becoming increasingly difficult at the moment to get broadcasters to sign up to television that you want to make. And we've found that we've got loads of ideas. I mean, literally loads, 8 or 10 series that we've pitched and we'd like to make. And it's finding somebody who said, yes, we've got the money to take a chance and make it.
Mm.
That's all.
Also, it will change round.
Yeah.
All I'm getting in these comments is Unforgotten is brilliant, Unforgotten is amazing.
Yeah,
So I
it
need to
is. It
check
is.
out Unforgotten. So I feel like I clearly have missed something. Stuart's Blues, British Murders. Did Colin watch Mobland? I think there was a copper on
Yes.
there called Colin who looked to be based on our Cole.
I did watch it and I never thought that, I have to say, but I'll have a look back again. I doubt it, but who knows? Yeah.
Do you know
Only got,
what, Stu? I hadn't thought. I've seen Mobland. So I
yeah.
don't watch things that aren't true crime. I watched Mobland, loved it, and now I
It's
do
good.
see the resemblance.
Yeah. I mean, I listen, nothing after you sign a bloody car air freshener with your face on it, then nothing surprises you anymore, does it?
That is a true story, guys. Someone made Colin a car air freshener at CrimeCon with his face on it. That is a thing. Um, Right, let's have a little look. So it strikes me that the police on the ground, thank you, this is from Adam at UK True Crime. It strikes me that the police on the ground, who usually are doing a great job, are let down by poor comms. Do you agree, Colin?
I do. I agree that the comms are appallingly bad and always have been, and they're always behind the curve, and there's no need to be. It's what my daughter does. My daughter does comms. She used to do it for banks. She does it for somebody else now. But and it's appalling the way the slowness with which they react to things, and are so behind the curve. They're let down more by bad leadership. They're let down now by leaders who care more about themselves than they do about their team. And that's the big change. I spent the last 2 days with a guy called Steve Gaskin, who I occasionally do these shows with, and
Yeah.
we're saying that's the big difference between our day and what's going on now. is that we had leaders, and hopefully we were leaders like that who cared about our team and cared about our teams at least as much, if not more, than we cared about ourselves. Now people are just thinking, if I make that decision, it might give me a black mark for the rest of my career and I don't get promoted anymore. So I won't make a decision, or I'll just go with the easy decision. And I think it shamefully lets down the people, because we're still fortunate enough in this country to have thousands of young people who are committed enough to do that difficult and sometimes dangerous job on behalf of the communities that they've grown up in, they live in, and they want to serve. You know, and we let them down if we don't support them in trying to do the best. You know, you see, I don't want to get too political about anything, but you see stuff on Twitter and on TikTok all the time, and I just look at it and think, why are those officers doing that? Do they really get job satisfaction out of doing that? Out of 11 people going around arresting somebody for a placard, or knocking on someone's door and telling them that they've sent a tweet that's upset somebody? You know, is that really what they signed up to do? Is that what they wanted to do, or did they want to protect old people and young people and people from violence and being attacked and having their things stolen? Because that's what I wanted to do, and I'd much rather do that than sort out that somebody sent a hurty tweet.
Yeah. That leads us into a question from Kay Wallace. How many serious cases are you certain that they did it, but they got off?
That I dealt with personally, just the one. Well, that's not true actually, because there were three murder cases that I came across where I'm pretty sure I know who did it. Two of them we couldn't even get them to charge, and then one we did, and he got off at court. And all three of those, I'm pretty certain who did it. But you know what? Out of however many it was that I led, 30 odd, 40 odd, 50 odd, even, it's not a bad strike rate anyway. But and it's going to happen. You know, juries are juries, and sometimes
Well, that's it. You can present it, and then if they choose to do it.
That's, you know, and you have to be a bit philosophical about that and say, well, you know, we did what we could, because we always did whatever we could. There's never, people sometimes don't believe this, but there's never a murder investigation where the officers sort of say, I can't be bothered about solving this, really don't care. You know.
Well, that struck me when you said that in your tour last week, when you said three of the jury just decided they didn't like the police before it even started. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
they just made their decision. It didn't matter what evidence was presented. That
it's a not guilty from me. Yeah.
It's a not guilty. I don't like the police, but I took on board what you said about the fact that had they done it, you know, for any other reason, then you would have worried about them because the evidence was so strong. Julie's just asked, did you ever come across corruption within the force? So we're going really dark here, guys. In any case that you worked on?
Yeah, I did. The only time I came across twice, I suppose, serious corruption, neither of them to do with murder cases, but with officers that I supervised, that I did, you know, obviously did the right thing. And interestingly, you know, it was a police corruption case, was the only time I've ever really had threats made at me. And that was by a corrupt police officer.
Really?
And it does concentrate the mind a bit when you've got an armed response vehicle parked on your drive for a week until they sort it all out and your wife and kids are in there, you know.
Yeah,
but that's the only time, and that was a long time ago. But that was a corruption case. Yeah. So there were two that I kind of came across, and if you like, I was the whistleblower. I was the instigator in something being done about it, because they were the only two occasions I came across it, and I obviously did the right thing. When I was up in Yorkshire and I was head of intelligence, and I had all the surveillance and the sort of technical surveillance teams and dirty tricks and spies, we did a lot of work for other forces in terms of anti-corruption. So I was involved in quite a lot of it, but I didn't instigate it. But a couple of times, I came across it and I instigated it, and one of them went to prison. In fact, I think both of them went to prison eventually. They both, one of them certainly got sacked. I'm not sure if he went to prison, but one of them did go to prison. Yeah.
Sarah, I don't know what this means. Sarah from Hooked on True Crime Podcast. Colin, do you remember that terrible photo fit you showed us in Glasgow CrimeCon? We couldn't remember the case. This is Sarah and Ali with their podcast Hooked on True Crime.
Yeah, it was one of the first sort of stranger rape cases that I did at Islington as detective inspector in about 1992 or early 1993. And this woman was apparently ambushed on the street at a bus stop, dragged into a churchyard and raped. And she gave us a photo fit with a police, or it was with a police artist, and she was, you know, she'd obviously just sitting there saying, "No, make the eyes bigger, make the eyes bigger, make the lips bigger, make the hair more bushy." And it turned out she was making it all up anyway. He didn't really exist. And I mean, the man did exist. He did look a bit like it, to be absolutely honest, but he hadn't done what she said he'd done. She was kind of basing her recollection on somebody who she knew but hadn't actually raped her. But it
Okay.
was, yeah, it was. The odd thing about it was my very first ever appearance on television. I had to introduce this thing, and it looked like a 5-year-old had drawn a cartoon. And
I remember this. You
and I,
showed
had-
this when we
I
first
know,
met. I
I know.
remember.
And I had to say, it's an excellent likeness, we're told, and it was just ridiculous. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh, God, I'm going to get so much stick for this. But
I remember that. Um, oh, Jeanette, that is a good idea. We need to petition the BBC for a cold case series. Let's go. Yes, let's get going on that. Let's keep making that.
yeah, yeah.
Colin, as always, you and I have talked for nearly an hour, and I don't know where the time goes because seriously, I could.
Flown by,
It
flown
always
by.
does. It's always a pleasure to listen to you, and I thoroughly enjoy spending time with you. Jeanette's just pinged another question. Yeah, you know this bit, guys. Quick, now you might ask the questions. Can I ask what Colin's thought of Martin Clune's portrayal of him in the Manhunter TV series?
Amazing, talented actor. Got me, apparently, according to my friends and family, really, really well. He was too serious, I told him, in the first series. He remedied that in the second series. He was more like me, a bit more light-hearted like I am. He's a really, really lovely bloke who I'm, happy now to be a friend of. And yeah, he'll still always be Gary and men behaving badly to me, but he did a great job.
Yeah, that must have been really weird when you started seeing him play you because that's all you knew of him before that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I'd never secretly, don't tell him, but I've never watched Doc Martin. I still haven't, but apparently it's
No.
very good.
Mm.
No, but it's not really my sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, I think I've seen him play straight roles before. I've seen him in something called Arthur and George, which was about Conan Doyle, and he was brilliant in that. What he did, and he fitted what we tried to achieve so well in that because we wanted to make it low key. We didn't want it to be car chases and shootouts. We wanted it to represent what it's really like, as best we could, to be on, or it was like to be on a murder squad in the Met in the early 2000s. We got it as close as we could do it within the confines of television, and he bought into that and he played it in that way as well. And I think Yes, we got nominated for a BAFTA for the second one, didn't we? We must have been doing something right. So yeah, he's amazing. He was really good.
Good. Colin, final thoughts. What do you want to tell us about you? Anything we need to know? Anything we should be watching, reading, or listening to?
No, other than saying, this. Yeah, I think this podcast, if it comes off, I think you're really going to like it. It's the I met this guy, this reformed armed robber, and we had a certain amount of chemistry. We started taking the mickey out of each other straight away. We're both good Londoners and sort of football boys and that sort of thing. We got on a bit of banter, and the idea is we're going to sit down and just talk about famous crimes and take the mickey out of each other while we're doing it. So it should be quite entertaining. I'm quite looking forward to it. I think it'll be really good fun, and I think it might really work. So I'm
When
going to
did
be
you
doing.
start recording?
Well, we were meant to do it in May to do the pilot, but the one of the people involved in producing it has got sort of family issues with the parent, and I sympathise greatly with that because I've had that over the last
Hmm.
couple of months with both my mum and dad remarkably are still alive, and they've not been well for the last few months, and I've had so every time I've had a break in the schedule, like a few days off and thinking I can relax, I've been going forward and to
Up
hospital
and
and
down,
backwards and forwards.
going
Yeah.
nipping in to see him.
But fortunately, touch wood, they're okay at the moment, and I've got a few days off now, so that's good. But yeah, so we were going to do it in May. We were going to do it as soon as he's ready to do it and get it going. But that'll be really interesting. I think it could be quite an exciting thing to do. I've still got 28 or 27 dates left on my tour, which is still on the website, Making to a Murderer 2. Wherever you are in the country, I might not be coming actually to your town now because there's only 20 left after 115 or whatever it is already. But I'm still going. I've got one more in Scotland. I've got one more in Wales. I've got one more in Essex. Some in the Midlands. One at Crewe, off the top of my head. Kendal up in the Lake District. So I'm still all over the place. So if you haven't been to see it yet, then
Just
come
do.
along.
I'm 100% go. It's really interesting, and how you managed to keep us engaged. Just one man, one voice, one show for that whole time, hanging on every word. It's a talent, Colin. It's a
I
talent
wouldn't,
to be
I
able to
wouldn't
do
say
that.
that. It's just, I don't know about a talent, but it's great fun, and I love meeting. Yeah, the best part of it for me is the meet and greet at the end, and I have this line of people that they all want to shake my hand, they all want to talk to me. It's just fantastic, I
It just
feel so
queues for
humble.
him. You had such a queue. It was so nice. I was standing outside watching you. I was just smiling. It was just so lovely to see so many people waiting to see you and have a chat and ask a question. And I have to say, Colin, in all of the times that we have had the pleasure of working together on CrimeCon, you are so accessible. You take time, you listen, you appreciate, you are so open to any question that people have got, whether it's for help, for guidance, for something particularly going on for them, or to just deep dive into the work that you've done and the cases you've worked on, which can be repetitive at times because you do get asked similar questions. You just take all the time, and I just admire you so much and so grateful for that. So long may it continue, because you enjoy it, I know.
Well, I was brought up right, so I do, I try and help people and answer people's questions if I can. But more importantly, in the actual situation I think if you're good enough to watch my TV programs, if you're good enough to buy my books and read my books, I'm good enough to say hello to you and answer a question. Just simple, really, isn't it?
That is manners.
Simple as
That's
that.
exactly it. And I know,
Yeah.
and I'm exactly the same with every single visitor that comes into CrimeCon, because it's
You
it's
are, you
just
are. Yeah.
it's a lovely way to be, and you're very grateful
Mm.
for everyone that's engaging with you. It's a nice way to be. Yes, we have been brought up right. It's very good. Our mums will get on well.
Okay.
All right, John. Well, listen, Colin, thank you very much. Thank you
No,
guys
thank
for
you.
joining.
Thank you for
Oh,
having me.
always a pleasure, Colin. All right, thank you very much. I shall see you later. All right, thank you. Thank you all for joining. We shall
Bye
see
bye.
you very soon. See you later,
Yeah.
Colin. Bye bye,
See ya.
darling.
Bye bye.
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 So that was Colin. That was amazing. He is great. I shall see you all 27th of September in Manchester. I cannot wait to see you all. See you later.
If you're fascinated by true crime, then join us in June 2025 for CrimeCon London. Meet the biggest names in true crime TV, experience live forensic demonstrations, and dive deep into the criminal mind with your favourite authors, podcasters, and content creators. To secure your place, go to crimecon.co.uk now and be part of the UK's biggest true crime community. CrimeCon London, partnered by True Crime Channel, 7th and 8th of June 2025.